Started.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, great. Hi, folks. Thank you for joining. Thanks for being here tonight. My name is Brittany McBain. I am the new Community Involvement Coordinator for this WQARF site with the Remedial Project section of the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality. I'm sure you guys heard, but this meeting is being recorded. So just so everyone knows, this is a public meeting for the Miller Valley Road and Hillside Avenue Water Quality Assurance Revolving Fund, or as we will further call it, the WQARF site. Uh, Today is Tuesday, September 9th, 2025, and it is 6:01 p.m. We're going to get started. We today will be getting an update on the site from our project manager, Adam Nagel. We do ask that all questions and comments be saved for the end. Feel free to, also ask the questions in the chat and they'll be answered at the end. If you do have any questions after the presentation, if you look down at the bottom of your Zoom screen, there should be a little option for like raising your hand, maybe. Or is it under reactions? Yeah, under reactions, if you click that little heart, there's a raise hands option. Just raise your hand, and that way we know like who to call on. We'll have plenty of time to answer questions that relate to the site. After this meeting, the presentation and the audio recording will be available on the ADQ website by the end of the week. If you would like them to be emailed to you, I can do that. Just go ahead and email me. We'll have my contact information at the screen, up on the screen at the end of the presentation. What else? Yeah, we'll go over the agenda real quick and then we'll get started. So we'll just do some quick introductions. Myself and then our ADQ team. We'll move over to Adam to do the site presentation. We'll take some public comments afterwards. And then Barb, our other community involvement coordinator, will be doing a presentation on community advisory boards, and how you can get more involved. And then we'll end the meeting. So that is about it. We'll go ahead and get started, and I can hand it over to Adam if you're ready.
Thank you much, Brittany.
All right, perfect.
1 second while I pull that up for you, Adam.
Sure thing.
Oh, do we want to introduce ourselves? I don't know.
Oh, it's all right. My name's Adam Nagel. I'm the project manager for the WQARF site here at Miller Valley and Hillside Avenue. So basically, I'll be WQARF. We're responsible for cleaning up contaminated sites for the state, and this is one of them. Next slide, Barb. And this is how we do it. This is our process. We begin with a preliminary investigation. Basically, we take rudimentary based simple samples to see if there's any warrant to expand the investigation to list it if is a big enough problem to get listed on a war site, or if there's no further action needed. That's basically the start of it, is that PI in preliminary investigation. We did that in 2005 out here. And then it was discovered that yes, there's a problem out there that warrants additional investigation, and we did that starting in 2017. And that remedial investigation was more robust. Put in wells, do a whole bunch more data gathering of groundwater, etc. And then from that data, we created a feasibility study, basically asking the question, what kind of remedies would be good for this site? And so that study went through 3 different remedies, and went through the pros and cons of each. And then right now we're at the start of the proposed remedial action plan. Basically, we're going to propose one of those feasibility studies. It's being drafted. And then once that's in place, we'll decide, we'll pick, you know, the correct remedy for the site when the record of decision, and then we'll implement that remedy. And after a period of time, hopefully that site's cleaned up and it gets delisted from the wharf site, from the wharf list. So go ahead to the next slide, Barb. So this is where our site is up in Prescott. It's at the intersection of Miller Valley Road and Hillside Avenue, right there in the center of the screen. And like I said, there was a preliminary investigation. There was a old gas station at the southeast corner of Miller Valley and Hillside Avenue there. There was a leaky underground storage tank. And basically during that cleanup, they found PCE, tetrachloroethylene. Now, it's a chlorinated solvent, and that's usually not typical of a gasoline station. It's not used in that process. It is used in the past at dry cleaner sites. They use that for their cleaning, and uh, there there were a couple dry cleaners in the area. If you look at the map there, that big building and on the right side, that's Fry's grocery store. So in the southeast corner of their parking lot now, there used to be Prescott Drive-In Cleaners that operated in the 60s to 80s. And there was also Village Cleaners that operated in that area, and they moved across the street. But the contaminants that we're worried about out there are PCE, TCE, basically all the other chemicals that are typically associated with the PCE site. The next slide, Barb. So as part of that feasibility study, we did an early response action. We, we put together a pilot test to see if one of the remedies is suitable for the site out there. And the one we tested is doing injections. We injected in a couple injection wells out there. We injected the EOS QR, which is basically a carbon source, a water-soluble carbon source that if we put bacteria in there, would would facilitate them to help clean up that PC. It breaks it down. So we injected about 3,000 gallons of that solution with the bacteria serum and made it anaerobic, made it very low oxygen to no oxygen, and so that they can survive and that they can thrive and they can do what they need to be doing out there, and helping us get rid of this PCE that's in the groundwater. And our concentrations, we have early indications that it is a site that's suitable for this kind of injection work, and using these special bacteria to help us break down that PCE. As you can see, right before we started injection in February, we took samples of all the wells out there. Our highest concentration at the time was like 4,000 micrograms per liter, 4,000 parts per billion. Good amount. And our last round sampling was just this last spring in April, and that brought it down to about 160 parts per billion was our highest PC concentration. So a couple orders of magnitude down already. So it's very, very, very hopeful that this is the correct remedy for the site. Fingers crossed. So here's a little figure, nothing fancy, but it's a groundwater plume map of where the PC has been found. It's a fun site. It has interesting geology out there. So with that kind of geology underneath the subsurface, we have 3 different zones that that have this PC concentration contamination. There's a shallow zone that's about about 50 feet deep out there, and that's indicated by that blue circle out there. And then there's an intermediate zone that's about 80 to about 120 feet, and that's indicated by that green area. And there's a little bit a depth in that red area, about 170 feet to 200 feet-ish. There's a little bit out there that's kind of deep down. Um, but this map it shows basically that plume is, while they're kind of separate, it's all still they still communicate with each other. They're not completely isolated plumes. Um, but it's helpful for getting that conceptual model in your head about, okay, there's a shallow area we have to focus on, there's a medium area that we have to focus on, there's a little bit deep that we have to look at. Groundwater is going to the east out here in general, indicated by the blue line. Water is about 40 to 50 feet down. Um, Oh, and our injection wells, where we're pumping this carbon and bacteria into the ground, indicated by that blue box right there. There's a little green dot that arrow's pointing to. Um, so there's two injection wells out there, and within those wells, there's two different um, screens that are open to the aquifer that we can inject into and hit these targeted areas. And we also have two wells out there, MVH3 in that light blue box, and MVH9SD that are kind of really close, pretty close to those injection wells that we use as performance monitoring wells to see how well those injections are doing, to see our radius of influence, make sure that injection is going out into the groundwater, and see how um, the how the concentrations are changing over time. Basically, we're looking at those two wells. Um, I think next slide, Barb. I think that'll work. I kind of want to go through um, how this bacteria is helping us out there. Um, so here's a little graph. If you look at the upper left-hand corner, there is PCE, that tetrachloroethylene that was used in dry cleaning operations, and those two gray circles are carbon atoms, and on the outside ring there's 4 chlorine atoms, those red circles. So there's a few bacteria species. I'm not going to begin to learn. I'm a simple geologist, not a biologist, so I'm not going to pronounce those names. But those specific species, they help take that PCE and they um, basically they respire and strip off they respire chlorinated, halogenated, that chlorine. They strip off that chlorine atom and replace it with a hydrogen. And when that happens, you get trichloroethylene. It's another chlorinated solvent. But it's got one less chlorine atom on it, which is great. We're decreasing the concentration of PCE, but we're increasing the concentration of TCE out there. What's not so great is those specific bacteria, they can only go down to the next step, the next daughter product, cis-1,2 dichloroethylene, DCE, where if you notice, one more chlorine atom has been stripped off and replaced by another hydrogen atom, that green ball right there. Along another bacteria that's in that serum that we've injected is D. Halocoides. Butcher that name all the time. But that bacteria is very special, and it's able to take that DCE and the vinylchloride after that and put it down to ethene. It strips off all the chlorine atoms and just makes it kind of a molecule that's not harmful to human or the environment. It's a good thing to have this process happen. So ideally, you'll see as we reduce the PCE in concentrations, you'll see that PCE come down. We'll get an increase in TCE. That TCE will be broken down to DCE. We'll have an increase in DCE come up, and then that will get dechlorinated down to vinyl chloride, and then you'll see an increased concentration of vinyl chloride, and then that will get broken down, and then you see that decrease in concentration, and then you'll see the ethene come in, ideally. But it's all because of that one bacteria and um, injecting it with anaerobic water and that carbon substrate really helps them thrive in that environment to do this reductive dechlorination, it's called, using bacteria to help us out. Next slide, Barb. So this is data from MVH3, one of our production wells. You'll see our blue line there is our PCE. And that was fairly high concentration at the start before our injection, which is noted by that dotted line right down the middle of when we started those pilot test injections out there. And you'll see as time goes on, post-injection, that concentration has come down. This is great. You also see that yellow line down there. That's that TCE. You see that concentration come up, and then that gets broken down by that bacteria, and that came down as well. And that's really good. And then our DCE comes in, that green line. You know, that concentration shot up, and it kind of stalled out a little bit. Well, that's okay, because we still have vinyl chloride being generated, that orange line down there. You see a little blip up at the bottom down there, and that got degraded. We are seeing ethane come in at the very end here in April. If you go to the next slide, we'll show MVH9, which is also the other performance monitoring well that we have. You see a similar pattern, that blue line, that PCE coming down in concentration, and our daughter products coming up in concentration and coming back down. And then the end result being, if we zoomed in on that graph, you'd see ethane come up at the end then. To illustrate this just a little bit better, on the next slide, I put together a little table to show kind of the percent change in these concentrations over time. So you see in MVH3 in February of 24, for example, the concentration was 628 parts per billion. Post-injection last April has come down to 16. Now it's still above, you know, our standard that we want to get. Our standard for PCE in the state is 5 parts per billion. But that's a significant reduction, though. And we can see this across the board. In MVH9, in our injection wells, we have a lot. That subsurface out there is conducive to this reductive dechlorination using these bacteria. And you'll see our TCE concentrations come down as well. In INJ1D, we had a little uptick, which is interesting. And then our DCE showing a little bit of a mixed bag, mostly coming down. Had in MVH3, we had it come back up, you know, that's expected. And then vinyl chloride as well, coming back up as we dechlorinate that DCE, you get more vinyl chloride coming in. And then the end result is, though, we are seeing ethane being generated from non-detect to detectable amounts in the majority of our performance monitoring wells out there, and our injection wells. So that's very promising to see. Next slide, Barb. So where we go from here, in the fall, we're going to do another round of injections. You know, we still think that we still have high enough concentrations for it to be effective out there. So in October, we're going to go out and do the same thing. We're going to inject those injection wells and monitor the reactions that we see. So we'll be collecting a whole bunch of more data from the groundwater out there, and then from that we'll put together our remedial action plan for this wharf site. Typically, based on what we see out there, you know, we might propose doing a little bit more injections, or we might say, hey, that's good enough. We're just going to let it go, let it naturally attenuate on its own. So we'll see how this next round goes. But basically, I just wanted to give you guys good brief overview of what we've done out there so far, um, what our and what we propose to do out there. Um, that's pretty much it. But so far, we're seeing very promising results. So, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me, call me, or email me. I can follow up with a lot. Um, that's pretty much it.
Great, thank you, Adam. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Feel free to put it in the chat.
Or feel free to email me, and I can point you in the right direction.
Yeah, go ahead, Jay. Are you able to unmute yourself?
Yes, thank you. I'm curious how far the PCEs or TCEs would go downstream from Miller Creek to Granite Creek to Watson Lake. Has there been any monitoring along those
Oh yeah.
pathways?
Oh, we haven't monitored the surface water out there. Basically, that creek that is right to the southwest of that site. Barb, if you want to pull up like side 5, I think.
Yeah, 1 sec.
If I might interject, when Hazel Cox was working on the project, we asked that she monitor a couple of spots where groundwater emerges as surface water.
Yeah,
And there wasn't any detections in those samples. So it didn't look at the time like there was an interface between that groundwater and the surface water to reach Granite Creek and Watson Lake.
that's exactly right. That's what I want to point out here. The lithology out here is it's silts and clays, and there's bedrock down at depth, but there's a lot of weather bedrock, and it's hydraulically it is kind of tight. So this plume isn't moving that fast. It's pretty slow moving. It's going in an eastward direction. Um, so, and then with another round of injections, we should have this pretty knocked out by then. Is knock on wood. So, yeah. Does that answer your question? I hope.
Yeah, I have another one too. This is a very different kind of question. I saw that in the history, it looked like this was identified in like 2003, 2005.
Right.
And I'm wondering why it took like almost 2 decades to begin the mitigation process.
It's a slow process. I don't. Um, it we have to gather a lot of data. We have to install a lot of wells. We have to do it right. So we can't just rush in there and do it. Um, it's a time-consuming process. I wish it was quicker.
Does that have anything to do with ADEQ's budget allotment from the state legislature?
That might be a question for Tom Titus, my boss, on that one.
To answer your question, no, we're typically fully funded each year in accordance with the WARF statute. So, we've moved these projects pretty aggressive in the last 5 to 6 years. Before that, I can't really speak to it because I wasn't here, but and Adam's only been here a couple of years. But our objective now is to move these sites through as fast as we can, to clean up the environment as fast as we can, and we've luckily, hopefully, our budgeting from the state continues, and we'll be able to continue to move these projects forward at a faster rate than what's been done historically.
Okay, so funding from the state does impact your ability to address and remediate these sites.
In a positive way, yes, because as long as we continue to get funding, which we have for the last several years, we can attack these sites.
Good.
It's also true that sometimes those funds can get redirected. I know that not too long ago, a fair amount of those funds were directed to similar PCE, TCE plumes in the Tucson area because of the nature and the extent of that pollution relative to drinking water wells compared to, say, a lower priority site like this one where there's very few wells impacted. and the concentration of pollutants isn't as great. Was that fair to say as well?
No, I would say each site gets equal. We look at every site. I mean, one of the things we've really done in the last 5 years has been really aggressive at cleaning up these sites. And we've cleaned up a lot of sites to a level where we only need to do M&A. So we've got plenty of money to do what we need to do as long as things keep moving forward with the state legislature.
So the state legislature does have an impact on your ability to execute these plans.
Well, yes and no. I mean, the WQARF statute says that we're allotted, I think it's $15 million a year. And as long as we keep getting that $15 million a year, everything's going to go fine. But there may be some years where we may hit it, we may get into a recession or something. We may get less money. But, we have we have contingencies to deal with that if it does occur. Because every site's important. Everybody, I mean, it doesn't matter whether you live in the middle of Phoenix or Tucson or out here. People need safe drinking water, and we're doing our best we can to clean up the environment, no matter where it is in Arizona, because it's all important.
So just out of curiosity, how many WQARF sites are there in Arizona?
We have 37 WQARF sites.
And how much, and you get 15 million a year, how much is it going to cost to clean up this site in Prescott?
Well, I don't know yet, and that'll be when we issue the PRAP. We'll have a better idea of what that cost is. The feasibility study did, as Adam mentioned, does have 3 remedial alternatives with costs, but I don't know what those are off the top of my head. But you can look at that online at the ADQ website.
Okay, because when I divide 15 million by 37, that ends up somewhere like south of 300,000 per site, which doesn't seem like a lot.
Well, that is true, but we have some sites that are close to closure and we only need 25 grand a year on, and we have other sites that need like $600,000 a year because we have bigger treatment systems. And then you got a site like this that's kind of in the middle.
Got it. Yeah, no, of course, not everything will be equal. That was like the quick math. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Any more questions?
Will these slides that you're presenting today be available on the website as well, so we can share it with city leadership?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, they will be on the website by the end of the week, as well as a voice recording of this meeting. And if you need me to give it to you directly, you can also email me. I can put my email
I
in the
see a
chat.
few typos on this one. I might clean it up before I send it out.
All right, let me know before we put it on the website.
Matt, we've got your email address, so we can send you a copy as soon as Adam cleans up whatever typos he's seen.
Great, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? No? Oh, anyone else?
Just that this is really great news. The one thing I would ask is, as your crews mobilize for a fall injection, just to let us know, the February 2024, we didn't receive a notification. I came across it when I was in the neighborhood. And both for our residents and departmental and city leadership, it's always good if we can share the good news of this kind of progress as these sites get cleaned up.
I'm sorry, Matt. Are you with the city of Prescott then?
Yeah, I'm with the city's public works department, their environmental program manager. I've been basically tied to this project since 2017 when Hazel and her team were out working on some of those more preliminary stages. And helping to recon the site and find some of those other potential issues.
Will do.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. All right. We'll move over to Barb, who will do a little presentation on on how to get involved with the community advisory board and how we can form one.
Okay, this will be pretty quick. I know some of the names here. I know you guys have heard about this before over the years. We've struggled to get a community advisory board going for this site. So I want to push it again a little more tonight. If you haven't heard about community advisory boards, we try to get them set up for each of our WQARF sites. A community advisory board is simply citizens that live either in the community or work in the community that are interested in the site or affected by the site or the cleanup that's going on in the community that want to get together and have meetings like this to discuss what's going on at the site. We hope that our boards will gather the information that they get about the projects and take them out into the community for us, as well as hear what the community has to say about the projects and bring that information back to us. So what do? Well, they do exactly what I just said. They listen to what's going on at each of the sites, well, in this case, this site, take it out into the community, listen to what the community says, bring that back to us. They can do that in different ways by talking to their own other community groups, church groups, school groups, anything like that. Bring us their own views as well as the views of their neighbors and their community groups. We also want to hear the advice of the community on what they feel about the reports that we're putting out, the ideas that we have on how we're cleaning up, how we're doing things. We really need to hear the voice of the community. And by not having a community advisory board, we're missing a crucial component of this. And we'd really like to get this going. Who are CAB members, and do you have to be a technical person? So CAB members, as I said, are anybody who's affected by this site. You can live there, you can work there, you can simply be, you can own property there. You just have to be affected by or interested in this site. You don't have to have a technical background. You know, our job is to explain what's going on at the site in language that you understand, that you can take out to your community, and then bring back their concerns to us. So you don't have to know about this stuff technically ahead of time. It's our job to make sure that you understand what's going on. How do you join it? You can contact me or Brittany or Adam, any one of us. We'll tell you how to join. So what I need to tell you is to join a CAB, to form a CAB in the state of Arizona, we need 5 people. After years of struggling, we have enough CAB applicants. We have enough people that are interested in joining a CAB. But to form a CAB, we have to have what's called a selection committee. So in statute, in law, one of the things we have to do is have a selection committee. It's a one-time committee that gets together and meets and says, okay, here's all our CAB applications. Yes, we approve them. Now you are officially a CAB. Go forth and CAB out, you know, be the community advisory board. We have had trouble forming that selection committee. We have all of the members of the selection committee except for one. So if anybody listening to this call tonight can help us out, please do. And here's what we're missing. By law, we have to have one representative of the department, which we do, the ADAQ, which we do, of course. We have to have one elected official. The mayor has graciously agreed to be that elected official. We have to have 2 community members on the selection committee. Again, this is a one-time meeting committee. We have those community members. We're missing one member that we must have by law, and that member is an owner or operator of a facility within the site or an affected business or industry. And we have just not been able to get anyone. We've knocked on doors in Prescott. We've gone to businesses within the area of this cleanup, and we've just not found anybody that's willing to sit on this one-time committee. So Matt, you're there in the city. If you know anybody that might be interested, could just help us out and sit on this one-time committee meeting, a 2-hour commitment to hear about the site and then look at our CAB applications, approve them, and let us set up this community advisory board. Please send me some names. I'll be glad to reach out to them or talk to them and let them know this is not an ongoing commitment. It's a one-time 2-hour commitment. We just need to flesh out this selection committee so that we can form our community advisory board and get that going. Like I said, we do have enough applicants now of the community. We just need to finish setting up this selection committee. So if you also know of anybody that wants to join the actual advisory board, we can always use more people for that. So please let us know if you're interested in that, or you know anybody that is. So contact myself or Brittany if you have any interest in that.
Can I ask a question about that?
Absolutely.
So it's, you need somebody who has a business that's impacted by the site?
Yes.
How do you qualify that?
Well, that's in the area of the cleanup, basically.
Can it be a property owner that's nearby?
It has to be, no, it has to be a facility or business.
Okay. I
Yeah.
know someone who has two restaurants. One is just across the street,
Perfect.
like very close to the, and the other restaurant's like it's Tourmet and Shirley's Urban Eats. He's a super busy guy. But I could talk to him, and it's 1 2 hour meeting that he has to do.
That's it. It would be early evening like this on Zoom. It would be a short presentation about the site. Here's what the site is about. And it would be, we would send the cab applications ahead of time. It's just a formality. And they would say either we approve of the applications or we don't approve. Obviously, like I say, it's a formality. Hopefully they would approve. Boom, we're done. Then
And
then the committee is disbanded for good. It's a one-time sitting of this
okay,
selection.
so it's like he shows up for one time and helps to like make a decision. Well,
Correct. And then the committee is completely disbanded, never to meet again. He's welcome to attend the community advisory board meetings in the future if he wants, but he is not attached to those, doesn't, no requirements, no commitment, anything, just that one time. So yes,
Matt, do you know Barry Barb, Matt?
Yeah.
That's who I'm thinking of because he has Shirley's Urban Eats and Tourmet. How does the whole community advisory board
how does it what? You can't cut out.
I think he disconnected.
Uh-oh.
I don't know what happened. What is the importance of the community advisory board in this process, and why does it have to take place?
Well, so it's part of our community involvement process. It's written into both statute and rule, which is the laws that govern how we do our cleanups, is to listen to the voice of the community. So it's not required that we set up community advisory boards, but it's required that we try. Excuse me. And we do try to get a community advisory board for every site. And we have many of them across the state. The reason is that we want to hear the voice of the community in our cleanups. We want to hear what their concerns are, what they're worried about, what they're happy about, what they're not happy about. You know, and when we release our reports, we want to hear what they think about what's in the reports, you know, what they're concerned about, what has taken place and what we're planning on doing. So we want to be open and transparent to the community about everything we have done and about everything we're planning on doing. And so one of the best ways is to have these community boards where we give the information to people that are living on the ground in the community. You know, most of us are based in Phoenix. We don't live up there in Prescott. So having people there in the community help us help the community. So there are boots on the ground in the community when we can't be there. So they take the information from us and they take it out into the community. They take it to work and they tell people about it. They take it to their church or school groups or other community groups and they say, hey, you know, there's a cleanup going on. You know, this is what's happening. What do you think about it? You know, they just spread the word for us. They help us get the word out. And maybe they bring information back to us about concerns they've heard about from their friends and neighbors. So it's just another method of getting the word out about this cleanup that's happening in the community because we believe the community has a right to know.
Does it have any impact on the allocation process for the project?
No, not on the allocation.
Okay.
It possibly has impact on, we listen to the community on the cleanup process itself, but not on the funding. That we have nothing to do with the funding, unfortunately.
Thank you. I'll talk to Barry about it when I see him next.
Yes, and please contact one of us with any information. I'd be glad to talk to whoever it is and give them more information about it to assure them that it's just a minimal commitment. We would really like to get this off the ground.
Okay, and that's the email that's in the
chat.
chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone
I'll send you an email right now.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Awesome.
Anybody else? Any questions?
Nope. We all good? All right. Well, thank you, Barb. And thank you all for coming and taking time, out of your schedules to participate. We are going to be adjourning this meeting at 6:41 p.m. Thank you all for coming, and I hope you have a good night.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.